as you well know, we're a broadband company, both wireline and wireless broadband, both local, national, and global. And part of this discussion is really arising because we've asked the question to all of our researchers and folks, well, are we part of this strategy? I was just out at the Business for Social Responsibility meeting, and the panel was entitled, Can Broadband Solve Climate Change? And my answer was no, but it can be part of the solution. And in all of what I've been reading and seeing in my policy development and corporate responsibility role, I don't see us discuss much. And Joe, I'm glad that you did a paper back in, the beginning of the whole internet push. But we now have a broadband infrastructure in this country, and are building a broadband infrastructure that ought to be seen as part of the solution. I think that the two comments on the end here as to what the larger issues ought to be are ones that are important to us and part of what we want to see the dialogue around. But here's a couple of things, Joe, if you don't mind, I'll take up your question just for a moment to give you a sense of why we care about this and why we think we may be part of the solution. Telework, as we know, has barriers, and part of the barriers are the notion that employers don't have enough control or they can't see their employees during the day. There is, and I will not be a salesperson for Cisco here, but I want to talk to you about this new technology called telepresence, which some of the other companies are also doing. It is a high definition video service where I'm sitting on this side of the table and the screens are on the other side of the table, and it is starting to feel like Star Trek. It is you are virtually present because the resolution is so high. The notion that we're talking to each other is so high that indeed you want to telecommute, and I see some of them very expensive. A lot of these technologies start out as very expensive, but I want to talk about why this is really interesting. We at Verizon have a whole telepresence set up for ourselves, and well, we can afford it, yes, to talk to some of our overseas folks. But by doing that, we are, of course, saving jet fuel and travel. In sitting with the Cisco guys, and I'll let them talk for themselves, but they've done the calculation, to your point as to what the set-off is, the energy that is used to actually fuel this kind of technology, they estimate, would allow you to do 2 one-hour meetings a week, telepresence meetings, 52 weeks of the year, and that is the same energy usage as one round trip New York, San Francisco. Now we, of course, are traveling all over the world. You remember your old company is now my new company, and so we are a global company, as are so many companies in this world right now. And just the thought of this kind of technology starts us to think about what are the uses for this in a strategy, not just having it happen. So I'm with you. What's the strategy, and where in the strategy does this fit? One more point and I'll give up the mic. We are also putting in high-speed fiber lines to the homes in our footprint. That is right now a 20 megabit, 20 up and 20 down. What can you do on 20 megabits? Well, you can set up the same kind of telepresence in your home for a whole lot cheaper, and we could talk about that. So I don't want to go into competition with my friends at Cisco right now, but think about what that will do. So there are barriers to things we know that could work. We think perhaps this network starts to provide the highway to some of these solutions, and we're totally looking forward to a discussion on what I think are 3 things that are important. This efficiency issue, which goes to productivity, as well as the way we are doing our work to reduce energy intensity. 2, to human behavior. We've said that broadband changes the way you live, work, and play. Will it do that and save energy at the same time? And 3, in policy development. So is there a need for a national broadband policy that has everything to do with the national energy policy? We're starting to think maybe yes, and we want to get that dialogue going.